Forms. I come to you, obviously, with everything that happened with Eric Dier, I think that was a major blow because he has been playing quite well. And we'll obviously get onto Sanchez and everything, which Ramon's already mentioned. But do you think maybe losing Dier that early on kind of unsettled the back line as well before everything else that happened afterwards?
For sure. I mean, look, I was at the game, and when I say it was probably the worst away day I've ever had in my life. Just because of, first of all, I live in Hertfordshire, so first of all, the journey, second of all, the result, and third of all, the journey back. So it wasn't great, but being there, it gives you this, you get to see things that cameras don't necessarily pick up. And Dier in that first 15 minutes, playing next to Tanganga, who obviously we'll talk about in a sec, Dier has this, because he's one of the vets at Spurs now, he's got this influential role when it comes to younger players, especially younger defenders like Tanganga, like your Rodons. So if you're, because he's kind of got to fill that role that Vertonghen and Toby had, because they were the senior ones, and whoever they were playing next to, they'd sort of keep them going, keep them motivated. And Dier really had that effect on Tanganga in the first half. Dier played really well. Obviously, he went off, and Tanganga sort of continued to play how he was playing through the rest of the first half. I thought Tanganga had a fantastic first half. When Rodon came on, because they're both relatively inexperienced compared to someone like Dier, they didn't have that leader on the back line. Obviously, you've got Reguilon, who's still fairly new to the squad. You've got Emerson, who was his debut. There was no leader in that back line to sort of control things. And that's when things started to spiral. Like, you could see, even when the ball was we were on the attack and the ball was well away from us, you could see Dier sort of talking to his back line and just being that vocal presence that we needed. The moment he went off, you could feel that just disappear. And that was true. And I rate Rodon, I rate Tanganga, but together for the first time, I think it was, there was no, like I say, there was no leader, no influential role. And that's when it just went, whew.
I mean, yeah, that is spot on. And I come to you, Ramon, obviously playing in a back line before. Like, do you think that's kind of sentiment? Do you think after Dier went, that was kind of it? It was a bit like, okay, we've got no senior players, so to speak. They've played in that role. We've got two youngins now. We've got to try and rely on. And like Form said, Tanganga did play brilliantly well in the first half. He just kind of lost his head with that Zaha incident.
I think that that result, and I think it was a learning process for him as well to really just try to be cool about it and not really be wound up. Because as a player, I can understand you got all the aggressivity and you want to be showing everybody you'll be part of that, but you also can lose your head very, very quick. Suddenly when such small little kind of things happen that will happen to him. I think that's something also to learn for him for the future. That's without no doubt. The other part I actually see within the whole group, I think the leadership side point of view has missed quite a lot in that team on Saturday. Relevant now, some of the players, potentially like Dier, were, of course, without that, is responsible in a way as a leader to be, because there's more experience of other ones as well. But the youngsters are now young enough as well to take that responsibility on, because you're playing in the Premier League. You're not playing now in the under 18, 19, 21. You're at the Premier League. You have to show you're man enough to take responsibility. However, you age at this, even you're 18, 19, 20, you're in the first team, you're a man and take the responsibility. Will happen, So that part has missed on that side of the even when Dier went out. There was this coming back to Winks as well. Winks could be, this is the kind of role for him could take into it, that mentality that, okay, wow, all the people Dier left. What's happening now? I want to have that character, the passion, where they're taking responsibility. Even they risk something. I don't care. They're losing the ball because they risk something about it. But at least they went through it. They're not just passing left, right, backwards, and just kind of that safety net passing where you just don't want to lose the ball or you don't want to make mistakes. I prefer somebody's more aggressive, makes a little bit more mistakes, but that second or third pass suddenly is more determined and actually more productive in the game. That part has missed within the players on the pitch. Relevant of the age are just that leadership and aggressivity has really, really missed. That's something I missed massively.
And it is good you mentioned that, because obviously Crystal Palace came firing out of the box. I thought they were kebabbing literally everyone in the first half. You kind of sit there and think, hang on a minute, John Moss, what are you looking at, mate? But it's true. They seemed they wanted it a bit more than us at the weekend. And it is true you say that. I think a lot of players need to have that bit more aggressive nature within them.